It's that time of the year once again where everyone has to pretend to care about IP law because people are upset about React streamers once again. And it's all kicked off once again by Dark Viper U. He was at the center of this last year and he brought it back up. And he's been talking about it for like a week or two now, calling out people for low effort reactions. I'm not going to go through all these tweets because there's a lot of them. But essentially, reactions are bad. You're stealing money from people. You're stealing views from people. Same story you've heard time and time again, especially last year when it came up. But this time, it actually got into a conversation about what is too far for React. On one side, you had Osinox, who was calling out XQC for being a bad reactor, but defending Hasan for being a great reactor. If you don't know who Osinox is, he's Hasan's editor, so he's a little biased, but he's saying XQC re-uploads the entire video to his own YouTube, so that's stealing views from the YouTubers he's reacting to, where Hasan, he doesn't upload his reactions to YouTube videos to his YouTube, so he isn't stealing content. That is, if you ignore that Hasan lets his fans upload his streams to their YouTube, which uploads his reactions to other people's YouTube videos, so essentially he's doing the same thing as XQC, but he has a middleman in between, so he's not getting his hands dirty. But just ignore that because that's getting way too complicated. So Osinox says, hey, what Hasan does is good because look at this guy. He let me look at his channel and it's a positive. Because it was like a small YouTuber did a video where he snuck into the Daily Wire and like got hired. And Hasan reacted to it on stream. And before that, so everything before the red line is before Hasan watched it on stream. Everything after the line is after Hasan watched it. So you clearly see the huge spike in views after Hasan watched it. So it's a positive that Hasan watched it, right? And then he actually looked at all of his videos. And the red line again is when Hasan watched this one video. He's only ever watched this one video, this guy's. And since that day, all his videos got a similar spike in views. And he also goes on to show like it was not just views that goes up. He also gained a buttload of subscribers, and like it's a small channel, so 5,000 subscribers was actually a huge jump for him. So if you just looked at this, you think, oh, reactions are great. Everyone should want to be reacted to because it's clearly a net positive. Views go up and subscribers go up for him, so what's the harm? Well, someone replied who had a bigger channel and said XQC watched his on stream and there was no bump. The difference is this is a much bigger YouTuber. He was getting hundreds of thousands of views compared to the other guy who's only getting a couple thousand views per video. So maybe you can look at this and be like, hey, okay, so reacting to small YouTubers are good because they get more views that way, but reacting to big YouTubers is bad because you're potentially stealing views from them and that you can't see any noticeable difference. Or maybe you could look at this stuff and be like, this is all completely pointless anecdotal evidence and you can't really draw any conclusions from any of this and no one really knows if reactions are good or bad and it is really up to the individual, which is why videos like this is a good like example of how reactions should like in an ideal world work.
That's borderline criminal in my opinion.
Okay, so what this guy is saying is Hasan reacted to his video and he got up and left to either cook or go to the washroom or whatever and just let the video keep on playing. That's like borderline criminal.
In D to E category. XQC I think did a great job, but I'm going to give you a bonus and put you kind of creeping into S territory because he's the only creator of this group who reached out to me and asked if he could do React content and post it on YouTube. And I, of course, told him yes. I don't think there are any big surprises here. What do you guys think?
Leaking DMs.
Okay, so XQC is trying to like use this to be like, hey, see, like I ask people to watch their videos, like I'm a good reactor, blah, blah, blah. Like this is so disingenuous. Like there is no way any streamer who watches as many videos as XQC or Hasan does on stream asks every single person whether or not they can use their videos. Now, it seems like in this case, he did ask this guy, which is good, but who are you kidding? Like, no one does that who reacts to any large amounts of videos. It's just like way too much work. And it's kind of scummy to try to pretend like you do. And like this whole drama, again, like has seemed to like fallen into a fight between XQC and Hasan because Hasan is trying to claim that I don't upload the videos to YouTube, so that's okay, where XQC uploads the entire video. So when they start fighting with each other, they try to like paint each other as the bad guy or the villain. And this is what XQC has to say about people trying to like draw these weird lines on what is acceptable and what's not acceptable.
You want to know how it is? It's crazy just seeing all the streamers and all the YouTubers. You come out of woodwork saying, well, look at X and this guy, look, they're doing this. And then, well, I do, this, and I do that. The varying degrees are irrelevant. The varying degrees are, it's all so tight in the same spot, low effort. They don't get it that everybody's calling out all of this.
Okay, so I hate that argument in any argument anybody ever has about anything, where they're trying to say like, hey, like the specifics don't matter. You do this thing that's lumped into like one large broad category. If one thing in that category is bad, then everybody in that category is bad. So he's saying like if you react to any content at all, that is as bad as what XQC does. And that is also a terrible argument, because someone who like asks the person beforehand and reacts to it, that's not bad. But that's also React content, but that's not lumped in with all the other bad React content. Someone who watches like a minute or 2 minutes of like an hour-long video to like make a point or something, that is like reacting, but that is clearly under fair use and shouldn't be lumped in with all the other reacting of like putting on a video and just silently watching it for an hour, right? And I think everybody who's being honest can see clearly that there's distinctions between the levels of reacting. Now, like you may disagree, you may think that XQC, what he does is also like a bad type of reacting, but he can also agree that Hasan is types of reacting is bad. You may draw your line differently, but there is a line to be drawn. They just have to figure out where it is and try to say like, oh, you can't draw that anywhere except either good or bad. That is just such like a disingenuous argument that you try to make to try to clear yourself. But since I've been kind of calling out XQC, I do want to say he did have some like good points. Like I think like what he said here is actually a good idea. He's saying like, hey YouTube, there's been a lot of talk about React content and re-upload of YouTubers content. It would be useful to have a tag or icon show up with an optional timer on videos that creators can enable if they don't want their videos reacted to. Thoughts? Now he got dunked on for this because obviously he just wants his job easier, where he has to put in less work so he can easily see a YouTube video that he can react to or not. And I can see why he's getting dunked on this, but I still think it's a good idea, because whether you like it or not, React content has always happened. React content is always going to happen. There is not going to be any like stop to React content. Even if like people start getting sued, people are still going to try to like skirt that line to React because it's super easy content and it makes the money, so they're going to keep doing it. So it would be nice if there's like, hey, can I watch this video or not? And there's like some kind of symbol or something in the description of the video that when you upload a video to YouTube, you can just click a box or not that has people allow them to react to it. And like I guess you can like say like the Creative Commons license is already that, but that's like a lot of work for the person uploading the video too. So like I think it's a good idea. It's never going to be implemented because that's more work for YouTube and they get no benefit out of it, but if only. And I always find it weird that it's always XQC and Hasan who get called out for this. I guess it's because they're like big and they'll actually respond to it, because like you never hear of Cody Ko being called out. Now he will like pause the video and like riff on it and like make jokes, but like he watches the whole video. Like he'll watch like the whole video. Like I guess he sticks to like Cut and Jubilee, and everybody knows you can react to those because they don't care. But he also reacts to like Netflix shows. However, being fair to Cody, his Netflix reactions, he shows way less of the show and he spends way more time making jokes and stuff. But then also people like Linus Tech Tips reacts to stuff. Now, these are ads, so you could say, well, ads want to be seen, so it's okay. But then you also have Mr. Beast reacting to videos, and no one ever calls out Mr. Beast to reacting to stuff. In fact, Dark Viper was just defending Mr. Beast when he got called out for promoting TMNT for like breaking the writer's strike. But yet, Dark Viper never mentioned how Mr. Beast is awful for also reacting. He focused in on XQC and Hasan, which is kind of telling. So like this is just like one of the reasons why I think this whole debate about React content is so stupid. So full transparency for me, like I have an ad blocker. I also have Sponsor Block, which if you don't know, it's an add-on for Chrome where if you're watching a YouTube video.
You do that though, Bless. Let me tell you, a word from our sponsors. Go for it, Vlad.
Yeah, so
I
like,
do
think for me
nothing,
regarding
and it completely skips the sponsor. So I can't really be upset about seeing other people's content because I'm watching their content. They aren't getting paid because I'm not watching the pre-rolls from YouTube, and I'm not even watching their baked-in sponsors. And then, like, this is also gets into IP law. Like, oh, you're breaking like DMCA. Like, you know how many videos I have on my computer that I've downloaded, or like through the last like 20 years, how many things I've illegally downloaded off of torrent sites? Like, I can't pretend to care about IP law just to like insult streamers because they're making money off of other people's work when I clearly don't care about it in my own personal life when I can benefit off of it. And this also gets into this weird issue of people like pretending to care about IP law. Like, never before has anybody ever cared about IP law as they do now when they can act righteous on Twitter. Like, no one cares about IP law when it comes to Disney. And like, everybody knows IP law is so like twisted and infected by billion-dollar corporations lobbying governments so that their precious IPs can be protected for much longer than anything else. And there's no way you can extract the influence like Disney has had over IP law to like take any part of that law as like clean or like valid and not tainted in some way by Disney. You had this happen like when AI art was starting. Like, you have people suddenly all caring about like, oh, think of all these artist jobs. They're going to lose so many jobs. But like when blue collar workers and like coal miners were going to like lose their jobs because of like automation or because of like green energy, people are laughing like, oh, well, too bad for you. Just like learn a new skill, learn to code. But now that when it's like artists losing their jobs, like, oh, it's like one step too far. Like all of a sudden we have to start caring about people losing their job to automation. Like, people pick and choose what they get upset about to if it affects them or not. People are really upset about XQC and Hassan reacting to content because they're making more money and they're already rich. But people don't get upset about people stealing movies. So I don't think you can really care about IP law at all. So it has to come down to like a moral debate on what is right and what is wrong. And in an ideal world to me is I'm always going to like side with the little guy. So like even like in movies, I would side with the little guy. Like, IP law should be there to protect the small guy, not to protect the massive corporations. So if you want to react to million view videos on stream, I really don't care at all. I'm not going to pretend to care. Like, who cares if XCC watches a 5 million view video and then re-uploads it on his YouTube? However, if he was watching like a 2,000 view video and then re-uploads it, I could see people having more issues with that. Because even if the small creator did have a problem with it, the small creator really can't fight back against XQC. The million view video can more easily fight back against XQC because they have more money and they have more viewers and they have more fans. But then it gets back into the, well, big creators reacting to smaller people are probably beneficial. Which is why I still think his idea for that would help out smaller creators because they can be like, hey, just react to my stuff. And I'll also say, like, I think like reacting to like streamer stuff, I think most streamers realize that they put out like low effort content and they don't care if other people react to their content because they're also probably going to react to other people's streamers' content. Kind of like TikToks. Like, I feel like that is such like disposable low effort content that anybody who like puts out TikToks, like the vast majority don't put in a whole lot of effort into their TikToks. And it's just like low effort content to like get views, to get subscribers, so you can like push them into other areas. They really don't care about the TikTok. It's all about like drawing viewers to other areas so they can actually make money.